So for today, we'll need our 2 blocks for sure, and a blanket or 2, 1 for sure, maybe a second blanket if you would like to have a second one. And then always know that you can have a chair nearby if you want to switch to the chair for any reason. And you can have a strap nearby if you need it. I don't have anything that I programmed in that we're going to specifically use a strap for, but it's always an option for you to make poses more accessible. So let's start in a comfortable position, breathing. I'm going to make sure that all my stuff is turned off. Feeling your body settling in. Taking a nice deep breath and letting go of all the moments that came before this one. All the things that it took to get you here. Just setting those aside and allow yourself the gift of the present moment, right? Just right here, right now, this breath and this breath. Good. So I was doing a lot of contemplating as I do during all of these Jewish holidays. We have so many wonderful holidays, and we had Simchat Torah this week, which is celebrating the wisdom of the Torah, the celebrating Torah, which means wisdom. And we complete the reading of the Torah, and then we start over again. So we end with the death of Moses, and then we begin again with Genesis, the creation of the world. And in between those, all of those books of the Torah is a ton of challenge and struggle and joy and blessings and learning. And the word that keeps coming up for me is engagement, to be engaged. And so, and how that relates to the practice of yoga specifically. So we even have a blessing in our Siddur for engaging with Torah, right? When we learn anything. So it's Vitzivanu la'asok bedivrei Torah. So God commanding us to engage with the words of Torah. And yoga, in a way, commands us to engage with ourselves, to make this more than just a shape or pose, doing something, but really engaging with our bodies, with our breath, to receive information. So the Torah wouldn't even be alive. We wouldn't have it if we didn't engage with it. We keep it alive by stepping into that stream of wisdom, and not only receiving wisdom from thousands and thousands of years, right, but adding our own wisdom, because we all have wisdom. We all have a consciousness of divine spark, right, that we share, that we add to that river. I think of it as a river. So you step into the river, and yeah, it feels like it's the same river, but it's really different water. It's like not the same water that you stepped into 5 minutes ago or last week. It's different, but it's the same. And so I think our job in engaging in anything in life, or the challenge and the invitation, is how do we step into the river of life, or into the teachings of Torah, or engage with our asana with new eyes, with fresh open mind, with an open heart, and be available to learn whatever's next for us to learn, because we are always different. In every moment, every day by day, we're different, even if we don't really realize it. We've changed. And so whatever is in front of us to learn is going to be perceived differently, and hopefully more deeply, and elevate us to a place where we can really experience our full potential as spiritual beings. So engagement is what I'm going to invite you to do today. And to do that, we're going to do some asana, but it's going to be all pretty dynamic. We're going to move in and out of it in as soft and a flowing kind of quality as we can, with like a quality of a river. So from a seated position, we're just going to start from the top down and just do some really gentle neck, like half circles or whatever feels right for you. And just begin to engage. So we can come to the Torah, we can read Torah or any Jewish wisdom, right? We can just read it. But where the learning happens is when we read it, we think about it, we talk about it, we steep in it. That's when we learn. And then we can share what we learn with others. So then we're part of that stream of wisdom. Moving from your neck into your shoulders. You can move them at the same time or separately. You can move them forward and back, whatever feels right for you. We can start to bring the arms up and in front of us and round the upper back, and then open the arms and open the chest. Breathe in and then exhale, rounding the upper back. So just stretching between those shoulder blades. And in this movement, see if you can make your wrists and your fingers really soft, like you're moving through a river or moving through water. Good. And let your hands softly land on your legs, and then just start to do some circles with your upper body. Choose a direction. Maybe feeling it in your lower back or your legs. And change direction. Good. Come to center, and we'll do a couple of side bends, just lifting one arm up and over and change sides. And as you reach away, as you reach across the body, make sure that your sits bones are staying put as much as possible at your own pace. So with your breath, with the rhythm of your breath, your movement follows. Good. If you're on a block, you would want to remove it. We're gonna come onto our seats with the feet out in front, and just start. You can lean back on your hands and just do some knee down twists here, and start really slow, because we're in our hip joints right now. So it's as slow or as small of a movement as you want it to be. Yeah. And just getting into those, just stirring up the hip joint and getting that synovial fluid moving. Knowing that, we're a microcosm of the universe, right? So we're stirring and creating flow in the lymphatic system, in the blood, in the fluids, like in our joints, the synovial fluid. Good. And then come up to center. Let's come to hands and knees. Now, when you do hands and knees, we'll be on our knees for a few minutes. So I invite you to have a blanket folded under your knees so that your knees are comfortable if you want to. Just have it under your knees with your feet hanging off the back. And we'll come into cat and cow. And as we work with our cat and cow, we're actually supporting the pumping of the cranial sacral fluid that moves through the spine. All of these rivers of wisdom in the body. And letting your cat-cows evolve into some side bending or hip circles, whatever your body wants. Good. So we're going to do a dynamic thread the needle. You are welcome to stay in your thread the needle if your lower back is sensitive today, or you feel like that would be best for you. Everybody is going to have their core pulled in to begin. So we're going to pull in the belly button and lift the right arm up. And then you're going to scoop the right arm under the left, but don't, if you're doing dynamic as I am, just don't lay down, just reach under your arm and then come back up. Breathe in and breathe out. Pull that belly in as you scoop under. You're welcome to just place that hand down and stay there if that feels better for you. On the next one, we are going to stay in our thread the needle for a few breaths. You can stretch the left arm out in front of you. Focus on the inhale, stretching the rib cage, massaging the lungs and the heart. And then go ahead and come back up to center. And we'll lift the left arm up and then scoop the left arm under the right. Just a little reach there and then come back up and do this a few times. Again, if your lower back is sensitive or you need to protect it, you can just pause in your thread the needle on the floor. Go ahead and take your more static pose. Reach your right arm out in front of you. Breathe. Getting a nice little thoracic twist here behind the heart. Good. Come on up. 2 hands and knees again. So if your wrists are sensitive, you can always do this with blocks. I'm going to demonstrate it with blocks. You're either going to be on hands and knees, or you can come to your blocks with your forearms, with the elbows right under the shoulders. And then we're just going to extend the right leg out, pull the belly in, your hips are square to the floor. And then as you exhale, you can bring your knee toward your chest or toward your nose. And then inhale, kick back. Good, exhale, contracting the abdominals. Good, so helping to just move the digestion, creating compression in those intestines. Last one. And release. We're gonna go ahead and do the second side. Extend the left leg out behind you. Pull the belly in, square your hip bones toward the floor. Exhale, round the back or bring the knee in toward the nose. With your breath. Last time. Good. And now you're on your blanket, I hope. You're going to open up your knees and just take a child's pose. And with this child's pose, you might just rock a little bit from side to side to shift your hips a little bit back and forth, massaging those hip joints. With your forehead on the floor or mat or block. Big breath. Good. We're going to stay with our knees on the blanket and use our blocks now to get into the hips a little bit more. So bring your blocks close to you to start. We're going to bring the right foot forward and come into, use your blocks as extension of your arms and come into a kneeling lunge here. Good. And your lunge is going to look different than maybe the person virtually next to you. And that's fine. Listen to your body. With your belly pulled in, you'll start to straighten that front leg and lift your toes. You can walk your blocks back as you need to and get into your hamstring. And you can come back into your lunge. Feel free to walk your blocks with you if you want, or you can leave them, whatever works for you. And then you're going to just go back and forth, lifting the toes, stretching the hamstrings, coming back into your lunge, getting into the groin area, but engaging the belly, pulling the belly in so that you can keep your back safe. And keep the breath flowing like the river. Just keep it flowing. Good. Whichever one you want to need to pause in, pick a shape. So it's either a hamstring stretch, or maybe you want to stay in your lunge. So choose which one needs the most, a little extra. And pause there, and we'll take 3 breaths. Good. Where do you feel, what do you notice? What's different today? What's different in this moment? Go ahead and bring your leg back, and we'll take the left leg forward and just finding the lunge that is right for you today, and just start to move in and out. Take your time. So your breath is a good guide. Full deep inhale in one direction and a full exhale in the other. Or you can have, an inhale and an exhale in one shape if you want to take a little more time. Is your belly engaged? Keep it pulled in. Good. And then choose which stretch you needed more on this side. Do you need the hamstring stretch or the groin stretch? Maybe it's the same, but maybe it's not, right? Good. We're going to come out of this. You can take another child's pose or a cat-cow if you want to stretch your back. And then we'll keep our blocks nearby, but off the mat. You can move your blanket. We're going to come to standing. And we'll just do some gentle twists. Really soft, just let your arms flow. Good. So we'll do some half salutations. So if coming to a full forward fold is bothersome for your body for any reason, you can always come to a half fold, right? You can always use your chair and use support if you need to, or double up your blocks. We're going to stand in mountain pose, so the feet are about hip width apart. And inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, dive forward with a flat back, coming either to the floor blocks or a chair. Let your neck go, and feel free to bend your knees as much as you need to. Good. Relax your head. And then pull the belly in and start to slide your hands up your legs, coming back up with a flat back. Reach up overhead. Exhale. Hands to your heart. We'll do one more half salutation. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive forward. You can bend those knees. Relax your head and your neck. Use the support that's there for you. And then engage your belly and start to come up with a flat back. You can always push into your legs too to help you up. It's always a good one. And then open up your legs a lot wider than hip width apart so that you can just bend your knees and kind of shift your weight from side to side. And if you let your upper body be really loose, without even trying, your arms are gonna kind of just find a rhythm. They're gonna ride on the movement of your legs, which is kind of fun. So I'm not trying to move my arms from side to side, but I'm moving my lower body and my upper body is just flowing. And then see if there's anything else that can get a little bit looser as you shift from side to side. Good. And then slowly start to make the lower body still, come to middle. And standing just how you are, just notice where you feel energy. Where do you feel flow? Where does it maybe feel kind of stuck? Good. Bring your feet back underneath you for a moment. We're going to move through several standing poses, but in a more of a flowy kind of fashion. So the important thing is to make sure that your base of your body is set up properly and safely. So we'll take a warrior two to begin. So I'm going to have my right leg be my front leg first. Your blocks can be nearby if you would like to have them there. But the front heel will intersect the back arch for the most part. That's a good starting place. And bend that knee, the front knee, and make sure it tracks over the ankle and not in toward the big toe. So open up those arms into your warrior two. So your lower body will stay like this. Breathe in warrior two, and then we're going to drop the back hand and lift the front hand and reach up into our reverse or exalted warrior. Belly is pulled in as you float those arms into a side angle. Good. And the side angle can have that left arm up straight or over your head. Good. Pull your navel in and then float back to warrior two. Then reverse. And then side angle. Keep breathing. I'll do one more. Warrior two. Reverse. And side angle. Good. Your front leg's probably pretty warm right now, imagine. Come back to warrior two. Pause here. We're going to turn the right toes in a bit. You're still in a wide stance. The toes are pointed away from you. A little bit, heels are pointed in. Kind of a relaxed squat, like nothing too hard here. And just bring your hands to your heart. And search for the beating of your heart under the base of your thumbs, or the pulse in your fingertips, this life force, this wisdom, this Torah that is actually in your blood. It's in your body. Wisdom is in your body. Always available to you when you engage. Go ahead and turn your left toes now so that your left leg is the front leg for your warrior two. Make sure that you have aligned your front heel with your back arch. Open up your arms into warrior. And then reverse your warrior. You can make these moves as big or small as you want. Side angle. Good. Yep, on your own time. Through warrior two to reverse. On your own, a couple more times. Beautiful. On that last one, take your time. We'll come back to our warrior two, and then we'll turn those toes again, how we just did a minute ago. So toes are pointed out, heels are pointing in toward your midsection, and then come into a little bit of a squat, nothing too intense. But feel all of your feet, all parts of your feet on your mat. And imagine that you could just send some roots down, just like tree roots down into the ground. Feel the strength of your lower body. And then imagine that in front of you is just this gorgeous tree, right? The tree of life. And we're going to imagine some beach balls underneath our arms so that our arms are soft as they flow up. Fingers are soft. The elbows are just a little bit below the wrists, so we're not like hunching our shoulders up. It's kind of a soft feeling. You're resting your arms on beach balls, but you're also hugging the tree of life. So imagine what that feels like. The trunk of the tree is pressed against your heart. You can sense the groundedness of the tree. And holding this tree of life, you can actually tap into the wisdom that came before you, that feeds you now, that has helped you be who you are right now. Start to bring your hands in toward your heart. Just let them rest over your heart. You can walk your feet in toward each other so that you're just standing with your hands on your heart. Let's take a moment to say thank you to our ancestors for all the wisdom that has been given to us, that river that we have been blessed to step into. Knowing that we are going to continue that sharing of that wisdom in our own special way for generations to come. We're going to open up the legs nice and wide for our forward fold. So the toes will actually point forward this time. And you can use your chair, seat, or blocks hinging at the crease of your hip. And then just coming to a place that feels good for you today. You can always use your blocks too as a place for your head to rest. Sometimes that can feel supportive. Find your Prasarita Padottanasana. That is a Sanskrit for this pose. And then just bend one knee and then the other. So in that spirit of keeping things flowing and dynamic, just shifting if it feels good to do so. Only if it feels good. Just shifting, bending one knee and then the other. Stretch your jaw, release your face. Good. You can press into your hands so that you can come halfway up, and then just heel toe those feet in toward each other. Bring your hands to your hips and come up nice and slow. Good. And bring your feet together. So as a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. So let's do our tree pose. Let's use our left leg as our standing leg to start. The chair is there for you if you need it, or a wall, or anything you might need. And choose where your right foot is going to be for your chair pose. Squeezing the muscles of the standing leg. And your hands, if you want to keep them at your heart, that makes it more challenging for balance. Or you can do whatever you want with your branches. If you find a drishti or a gazing point that something is not moving, it'll help you stay focused. You'll be more successful. So we stay engaged with something that helps us stay focused. We'll be more successful. Take another breath. Great, another breath here. Slowly, slowly come down. You can shake out that standing leg. Check your toes on that right foot. Make sure they're pointed straight ahead. Squeeze that leg nice and tight. And then find your resting place for that left foot. Ooh, you're going to press your foot into your leg and your leg into the foot. Belly's engaged, hips are level. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. Branches are whatever you want them to be. Breath is moving through your body. Softly coming out of this side. And then just doing some hip circles. Good, and we're going to slowly come down to our seats. We're going to take a dynamic bridge pose. So I think we're going to stay down from this point on. So make sure you have around you anything you might need for Shavasana. If you are going to use a blanket or for under your knees or your head or whatever blocks. Come onto your back. In this dynamic bridge pose, we're going to bring the feet close to the butt. And the knees are just about the width of a block, the skinny side of a block. And you have a choice to make this as big or small as you want. So as you lift your hips, you can just lift your lower arms up. So the upper arms are still on the ground. The fingertips are just raised up. And then lower the hips and the hands. And you can do that with your breath. Or if you want a bigger movement, you can lift the entire arm up overhead as you lift the hips and then lower down. So make a choice that's right for you in this moment. So those knees, make sure they are still tracking forward and they're not flailing out or in toward each other. So we're strengthening the back body. Let's do one more. Nice. And then when you settle in to the floor or your mat, go ahead and bring your knees in towards your chest in whatever way is what you want to do today. So maybe you hug them in close, maybe you open the knees up, maybe you take happy baby. Maybe you do all of them. Let yourself rock a little bit from side to side. And then bring your feet to the floor. Let's take our block and do our legs up the wall without a wall pose. So go ahead and lift your hips and slide your block underneath you. And you can always do this with a blanket too. Like if the block ever feels like too cumbersome or uncomfortable, you can always roll your your blanket or your towel, as long as it's evenly rolled or folded, and use that as just a little bit of height. And then bring your legs up. And let your arms rest
maybe with an open chest with the palms up. So the blood's coming down the legs, flowing back to the heart. All the blood that needs to be reoxygenated is coming back to the heart. You can start to bring your knees in toward your chest. And then bring one foot at a time back to the floor or to your mat. We're going to take a psoas stretch here. So if you're still comfortable on your block, you'll just keep your right knee bent and straighten your left leg. So the heel of your left foot will be on the mat, or maybe it'll be floating. It could be floating. Flex your left foot and open up the oblique area and the hip flexor, which goes deep into the under the abdomen and connects to your lower back. And it connects to your inner thigh. So it's your big flexor of your hip. And for anyone who's looking for more, or maybe not feeling as much stretch as you want, you can bring your right knee in toward you and hold on to it while your left leg stays extended. If you had your right knee close to you, you can bring that foot back down. We're all going to slide that left leg back. So we're in our supported bridge pose again, and then change sides, extend the right leg, press the heel into the floor if possible. What do you notice? What's new? What's interesting? You can hold on to that left knee if you want to deepen the stretch. If you had your left knee up, you can go ahead and bring that foot down and then slide your right foot toward you, and just take a few breaths here in supported bridge before you go anywhere. And then just a tiny tuck of the tailbone, just enough to slide the block out, and gently place your spine back down on the floor. Hug your knees slowly into your chest. Good. And then bring your feet back to the floor and lift your hips and lift them up, and then slide them over to the right several inches, and then drop your knees over to the left. Taking a gentle twist here, always using that block if you need it between your knees. That'll help take some pressure off the lower back. You can open up those arms and look over your right shoulder, or you can look anywhere you want. What works for you today? Go ahead and lift that right knee, followed by the left knee. Slowly shift those hips over to the left a few inches so the knees can fall to the right. Pull your belly in and lift that top knee, followed by the bottom knee. Square your hips, so get your hips and bottom in the middle of your mat. Notice if there's anything else that you might need. Maybe you want to do a figure 4 stretch. If your hips feel tight, I welcome any of that. I want you to choose something that feels like the best match for your needs right now. So maybe it's a figure 4, or maybe it's another inversion or anything else. Any place that's been untouched or unaffected, or that feels like it's been unaffected. Maybe make contact, engage with that part of your body. Ask it for its wisdom, its input. Take another few breaths in whatever shape or stretch that you are in. And prepare for Shavasana. You can take whatever shape you want for Shavasana. I will offer today a chest opener, which we've done before, and I'll walk you through it if you're interested in doing that with me. So you have, well, it depends on your neck, but you've got one block that's long ways on your mat, and it's going to go between your shoulder blades, and the other block is going to make a T. It's either going to be on the high setting, depending on how tight your neck is or how flexible it feels today, or it might be on the medium setting. So just see what works. You're going to take your blanket, fold it in, usually in thirds if it's thick. You can lay it across those two blocks so you have some cushion. And then it'll take some time to just kind of find that sweet spot where your head is supported and your back is supported. If you're taking this option. If you have more than one blanket, you can take your second blanket and bring it over your hips. And then the feet can either come together and you can let the knees open if that feels comfortable, or you can lean your knees in toward each other and walk your feet out to the edges of your mat. That's kind of my favorite. Or you can extend your legs. If you're not using these blocks, you can always use your blanket just to place under your knees or under your neck a little bit for support. So as we go into Shavasana, know that stillness is also engaging, right? We're engaging with stillness. And in the stillness, the wisdom that is inside of us, around us, can rise up. We engage here by listening, by surrendering. And one of the paths, one of the branches of yoga is called surrender. We surrender in order to receive wisdom and growth. Rest here in these moments of silence and stillness. Receiving.
God, we give thanks for the joy of learning, for the love of teaching and being taught, for the gift that connects us to you, to each other, and to your divine word. Your wisdom is near to us, in our hearts and in our mouths, in our hands and in our lives, so that we may teach it to each other with humility and love. Hear our prayer for those who teach and learn, bringing new light to your people Israel. Make our moments together a celebration. Let heaven pour wisdom and strength through them so that they overflow with enthusiasm and wonder, drawing others into your service. So that when we witness the love of learning, our souls turn back to you for wisdom. Together, we offer this journey back to heaven and rejoice. Shiviti Adonai lenekdi Tamid. Shiviti Adonai lenekdi Tamid. I place the Lord before me always, always. I place the Lord before me always, always. Shiviti Adonai lenekdi Tamid. Shiviti Adonai lenekdi Tamid. I place the Lord before me always, always. I place the Lord before me always, always. I invite you to bring your hands to your heart or hand to belly and heart. And take a breath here, knowing that you are a living, breathing work of art, a living, breathing source of wisdom and Torah in your own way. Take your time rolling to your side and coming to a seated position with your hands at your heart. Noticing how you feel. And I invite you to join me in our closing blessing. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings be loved. May all beings have peace. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.